Hey you guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. If it is your first time here, I'm Allie Wilkins. I'm an author and an oracle, a teacher, and basically I just teach about everything I learned about in my own awakening and share it with you. But I'm really devoted to the goddess tradition, and so that's where most of my work is oriented, with the divine feminine energy and also sacred wealth, and how we can combine the two of those to really fulfill our soul mission. So anyway, today's video, I wanted to share a topic that continues to come up over and over and over again this week, so I feel like it should be shared here. And the topic is working with the shamanic directions to be supportive in our life. So a couple times a year, like since I can remember, will rearrange my room, like move everything to the opposite side of the room. Like I've done this since I was young. I love rearranging things. And so a lot of people like naturally just do this. I know I'm not the only one who does this. And so our bodies intuitively know when we need change in our life, when the energy starts to become stagnant. And one tool that I've learned that's more South American based in shamanism, but as you may or may not know, shamanic tradition is really, really multicultural. So there will be different lineages that have different traditions, different belief systems. Usually they'll be pretty rooted in the same thought processes, but certain things might be different based on the culture. Like is it a desert culture or jungle culture? Different things like that. There may be small variations, but indigenous cultures usually have very similar core belief systems. So working with the shamanic tradition, with the shamanic directions has really helped me when I'm thinking about working with energy. You guys know I'm very sensitive energetically, and I work in the Akashic records every single day for myself or for other people. And adding in the support of the directions has been so helpful. So a couple of ways that first let's talk about the directions, I guess. So talking about like the compass directions, so north, south, east, and west. So the north typically represents the realm between the physical world and the spirit world. So this is going to be a direction that you use to call upon your ancestors, to call upon divine guidance, sort of that vibe. The east is going to be worked more so with new beginnings, calling in something new into your life, calling in like newer energies, new love, beauty, abundance, even calling something new in. It's like fresh and new. That's kind of the vibe I get with the East. And also it's going to give you a broad perspective. So the East in shamanic tradition will usually be represented by the eagle, which the eagle, of course, is like this beautiful, powerful being that has divine sight. So it can see the big picture of things, right? It's seeing things from a very different viewpoint. The north, which we just talked about, the animal that typically will represent the north is the hummingbird. That's, flying at, actually hummingbirds, their wings should not be able to fly as fast as they do, but their wings move faster, I think, than any other bird. Might not be accurate on that, but I think that's what it is. So then when we move into the west is typically represented by the jaguar. And wait, I forgot the south. Okay, sorry. So the south will usually be represented by a cobra. And the south to me is all about sustaining, but also like sort of the like holding on to what you have is my vibe of the south. This is how I work with the south. That's not directly how it is with shamanic tradition, but I work with the south as the sustainer energy. And so a cobra, a snake of any form, right, will start to shed when it knows that its skin is getting old. Just like I was talking about, when you can just start to sense, you need to shift up the energy in your room, you need to move things around, there's stagnancy. The cobra's skin naturally starts to shed. It's not like, let's start to shed. It just happens naturally. So when we're working with the south, it's working with the sustainer, but also with our body's intuitive knowing. And the south to me is really, it can also be representative of the underworld. But I would consider it more like the body itself, the physical world. And that's why I work with it as the sustainer, because it's sustaining what you have in the physical world, sustainment of your physical body, sustainment of wealth, sustainment of beauty, sustainment of your impact, whatever it is you want to work on. And then the west is represented by the jaguar. And this is a space of creation and destruction. And so all of these directions also have a multitude of goddesses that you can work with in each direction. And I work with them in my sacred practices, which I share in one of my programs, I think in Priestess Returns. But I have my own practice that I do to open up sacred space with using these directions. But I want to talk today about how you can use them in terms of like interior decorating, but also setting things up in your space so that it supports the current in your energetic space. So I made another video about this as well. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's about utilizing crystals in this way. I don't think that I touched on the directions in that video, so I'm going to put it up in one of these new corners. And you can watch that if you want to learn about how to use crystals specifically in different areas of your room to promote wellness and energetic flow. So a lot of people use feng shui for this too. I haven't actually studied that, but I think a lot of the principles that I use are in line with that. So the north is traditionally where you want your altar to be. The north or the east is like the recommended space for your altar, but I really believe that it depends on what you're working on. So there are a couple things I want to talk about. Number one, your altar. Number two, your bed, where your bed is if we're looking at your bedroom. And you can apply this to any room in your house. And then three, just like little touches to add across your room that will support these certain energies coming in. If you have watched any video or taken any course with me, you've probably heard, like, I want to utilize any sort of momentum of energy. Energy is always around us. It's always something we can tap into. And I work with the full moon so that I work with the moon cycle in general so that I can work with the momentum that the energy is already moving in. I want to grow and expand as quickly as I can in the safest way for me that's supportive for me and my soul mission, right? So I want to use every single element that I can to support me in that. So putting things in certain spaces might seem silly, but that's just another way that we can work with the energy. So right now I'm actually sitting in the north, and you'll see I have a bunch of amethyst. I have some ivy back here, and I have brass Ganesha sitting right here. I also have one of these dream weavers that I just forgot to move, but I thought it kind of looked cool, like with all that. Anyways, so I usually would have put an altar in the north corner of my room. However, I've been working on different things. I already have my channel is very open in terms of divine guidance. So I actually had my altar before in the east because I was calling in a lot of new energy. Now I actually moved it in the south because I'm wanting to bring a lot of grounding and stability into my life in a variety of different areas, and I'm wanting to bring magic through the body. So I'm working through the south to bring things into physical fruition. Now, don't put your stuff in the south just because I'm saying that. Use your intuition, and you don't even need to know the direction, just like which feels better. So you can get your phone out, find the compass on it, and then look. Like, you should have you definitely should know this, which directions are each corner in my room. Where's the north? Where's the south? Where's the west? Then you want to start thinking about your bed. So your bed, wherever it's lying, is going to be impactful because you're laying there for 8 hours, right? So you could think about, what direction is my head lying in? Like, where's my head facing? Or you could also think about, where are my feet facing? I typically will focus more on where is my head facing. So I just actually moved my bed from the west, and I just moved it back to like the northeast side, and I noticed actually a huge difference in the quality of my dreams just the last few nights since I moved my bed. When I had my head in, my bed was facing the southwest direction, I actually was having a lot of like gnarly dreams. And I'm also since I've had my bed in that direction, I've been doing a lot of like purging and releasing. And so it was actually supportive for me in doing that. And now that I've moved the bed in the opposite direction, because I'm like cyclically, I'm like, okay, I see that I'm moving into a different phase of my own life cycle, and I'm wanting to utilize different energies. So you can even notice, like, what are the quality of my dreams that I have in certain spaces? Or what am I doing in my life right now that I want support with, that I want extra momentum towards? And so, like, just for example, like I mentioned before, I have goddess energy. I have lots of like goddess statues. I use crystals. I have lots of just images that I use to represent certain things. So in the north here, I have Ganesha, and he's represents the remover of obstacles. So he could definitely like go in the south or the east as well. But something just told me like, put the amethyst, which really is representative of the crown chakra, and like peace, which is more that crown chakra vibe. I wanted this to be here in the north corner. It just felt right to me. Now in the west, I have like my Sekhmet statue. Sekhmet is the goddess of creation and destruction, so that's perfect for the west. You know, the jaguar is fierce. It can be beautiful and slowly moving in the jungle, or it can like rip you to shreds, right? And I also, like I said, I think that this is important to mention, I also work with these energies on a daily basis when I go to my mirror in the morning and I do my own sacred practice. And I think that it's really important to feed each direction. So for example, I ask in the West, like, please remove from me anything that is no longer serving me. And I have Sekhmet, and I have a photo of a jaguar sitting in that on a table in the West, because that is representative of that energy for me. Now, what else do I want to say about this? I have a lot of little altars, so I would consider this like an altar. Doesn't need to be some like super like, you know, churchy sort of altar. This is an altar to me, and I have them all over my house. And in the east over here where I'm looking, this is like what I'm bringing in. This is the new things I'm wanting to bring in, the new energies that I'm wanting to learn to steward. So I have imagery and crystals and a whole vibe of an altar that feels like that energy to me. And by the way, I change this stuff every full moon, usually when I take my crystals outside to cleanse. I'm moving things around constantly. So it's not like you do this once and it's done. This is energy is always moving, and at some point it might start to get stagnant, and that's when you start to move things around. So yeah, I have altars in each of these directions actually in my room, like north, east, west, north, east, south, and west. I have altars sort of holding down the energy, and you could think of this as a pyramid, holding down the four corners of the pyramid, and then the pinnacle is at the top, right? So is there anything else I want to share here? You can also use your plants in this way, like in what's learning about actually the spiritual meaning of different plants and what they represent. So some of my plants, I'm like, this is a masculine energy, especially if you have something like pointy, like a snake plant. My snake plants are in spaces where I feel I need to be protected. So I have a snake plant actually over here, like right at the entry of my door. Same right next to my door in the living room where I come in. And you can utilize plants and crystals in this as well. And like I said, I'll put it in the corner or on the suggested video here. What crystals should you use in different spaces of your home? So anyway, I really just wanted to share about the directions with you today, because it literally kept coming up in like 6 conversations I had this week. So I hope that that's helpful and supportive for you. If you liked and enjoyed this video, please like it and leave a comment. Let me know what you thought. And if you want to share it, that would be so epic. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and you love this sort of content. My whole mission with this channel is basically to share information for free with you that has been really helpful for me, that I probably paid for. But so if you love it, I would really appreciate if you can just engage in it so that more people can find it and it can help and support more people. So if you want to learn more about me and my work, you can go to my website, alliewilkins.com, or go to my Instagram, allie.wilkins. I do Akashic record readings. I do one-on-one mentorship. I do retreats. And I also have a book called Sacred Wealth. And I do group courses as well. I have 2 courses. One is called Divinely Funded, that helps support wealth consciousness for light workers who are on their soul path to make money so that we can actually really thrive in life. And the other course is called The Priestess Returns, which is all about ancient feminine wisdom and how we can return to the way of the priestess. And I talk about many different sorts of priestesses and all of their wisdom and magic. So I hope that this was interesting, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.